Hey you guys, thanks so much for stopping by to watch my video. I'm in my flat, I'm about to cook some dinner, and I wanted to do an Ayurveda basics of nutrition video for you. Very simple, straightforward. I want to talk about Shadrasa today, the magic behind the 6 tastes in Ayurveda. Shad, 6, rasa, tastes. That is the Sanskrit name. Sanskrit is the ancient language of Ayurveda. And I thought I'd just run through these 6 tastes with you so that you can see and understand the benefits of them and incorporating them in your daily experience. Ayurveda says that the easiest way to influence the health of your mind, body, and spirit is through nutrition and being intentional with your diet. So the easiest way to do that is, after you listen to this video, get online, do a little oh, what are these foods, and find the ones you like and play with them and start incorporating them in your everyday meals, okay? Ayurveda also says, just so you know, that your foods have subtle nutrients, and those are the ones that enter the psyche, and then gross nutrients, and those are the ones that enter the mind. And you know, science even supports this, modern day science, because we are seeing so many studies come out how food and healthy habits can maintain a healthy mind, whereas poor dietary habits are being linked to the propensity and the increase of mood disorders and depression and unclear, just fogginess in the head, not clear thoughts. And so yeah, Ayurveda knew this thousands of years ago. So Shadrasa are 6 tastes. I want to share the benefits of them, some contraindications of them, pardon me, in excess, and let's get to it. Let's get to Shadrasa. You ready? So let's dive into Shadrasa. I'm going to share the benefits of these tastes with you. I'm also going to share the Mahabhutas, the earthly elements. There are 5 of them. If you did not watch my Basic of Ayurveda video, you can go ahead and do that after this one. You'll be able to get through this with what I'm sharing, but you might just be a little bit unsure. So your Pancha Mahabhutas are the 5 earthly elements of air, space, water, earth, and fire. And Ayurveda says that we and our environment and our universe and our world and everything that we are exposed to and interconnected with is comprised of a combination of these 5 earthly elements. And that includes our food, right? So our rasa, our tastes, each one of them that I'm going to go through is comprised of a combination of 2 of these earthly elements, sorry. So I'm going to share those with you. I'm going to share the benefits, like I mentioned, and then later in the video, before we sign off, I do want to share some contraindications of consuming 1 or 2 of these tastes in excess. In our Western diet, we tend to love super spicy or salty or sweet, and we don't really include much astringent or bitter, definitely not any bitter foods to help kind of cleanse the body and purify the body. So be mindful at the end of this video of the contraindications. Just because something's a plant and it is, grows from the earth does not mean that it cannot harm you if it is consumed in excess. Ayurveda says that too much of the same is a causative factor for disease. And that is why it is advised in most cultures and in science as well to eat a diverse diet. Break up your diet, eat many different types of foods, and that's why a plant-based diet is advised, because that's where you're going to get diversity. You're not going to get diversity with a meat-heavy diet, right? So this diverse diet will help to prevent ailments, especially things like food sensitivities and food allergies that are usually a culmination of eating very limited amounts of or types of foods, food groups, and then you try to eat something else. You've created some some blockages to these other foods and some sensitivities to them. Okay, so you ready? Let's get to our Shadrasa. Let's start with Madura. Madura is sweet. And sweet is the rasa that nourishes the body. It builds tissues. It promotes a calm mind. And it is the rasa that supports Vata and Pitta dosha when consumed properly. When consumed in excess, it will throw off your Kapha dosha. You will have an increase in Kapha. Now, sweet in Ayurveda is not like sweet in Western culture where you're eating cookies and cakes and you know, those kind of sweets. It is more about complex sugars like fructose, your sweet fruits, dates and peaches and all those like sweet fruits, right? It is about a complex sugar like lactic acid because dairy is considered sweet in Ayurveda. Grains like basmati rice are considered sweet. And also, I feel like I'm skipping something, but that's a good overview for you to have for sweet. Your dairy, your grains, some meats are considered sweet. And like I said, your sweet fruit. And then next, let's get into amla, which is sour. And amla, oh, and sweet is made of earth and water. I don't think I mentioned that. So amla is made of fire and earth. And amla cleanses the tissues. Amla increases absorption of minerals from your diet. Amla increases sweat and it increases perception of taste. It cleanses the oral cavity, and it is made, like I said, of fire and earth, and it supports a Vata dosha. In excess, it will throw off your Kapha and Pitta. Some sour foods are like some obvious ones like lemons, citrus, grapefruit is sour, tamarind is sour, yogurt is sour, and vinegar and alcohol is also sour in your fermented foods. So those are the food groups that fall into sour. The next one we're going to talk about is lavana, and lavana is salty. Salt is made of fire and water. Salt is supports Vata dosha. It will definitely throw off your Pitta. Of all the tastes, salt is really the enemy of Pitta, but it will also throw off your Kapha dosha when not consumed properly. And salt lubricates the tissues. It improves the taste of your food. It stimulates digestion and it softens bowels. And salty foods, some examples of salty foods are sea vegetables, your seaweeds, your kelp, those kind of foods. If you like to snack on those little seaweed foods, obviously salt, your mineral salt, celery is a salty food. Fresh herbs have a salty element, okay? So that's your salty, that's lavana. So we discussed madura, sweet, amla, sour, and lavana, salty. So now let's get into katu, which is pungent, which increases your digestive fire. That's like the crux of the benefit of katu, to increase that digestive fire, to increase that agni, okay? And katu is going to support kapha dosha, and in excess will really throw off your pitta dosha. And some examples of some pungent foods are hot chilies, so like anything hot and spicy. Also oregano, thyme, marjoram, black pepper is pungent, clove is pungent, arugula is quite pungent, so that should give you an idea. So anything like spicy that just gives you that like, oh, you know, that sort of jolt, that's pungent. And like I mentioned, it is made of air and fire, and it supports kapha dosha. It can throw off your pitta and your vata. Next we have tikta. Tikta is bitter in Ayurveda, and the benefit of tikta, it is the least nourishing but the most purifying. Think of it as medicinal. It's detoxifying, it lightens your tissues, it purifies the body, and it supports kapha dosha, which can tend to get heavy and stagnant, so that tikta can go in and like break up that stagnation. Tikta also has the benefit of digesting or metabolizing ama in the body. And ama is, in Ayurveda, in Sanskrit, think of it as like a toxic sludge that builds up over time in the body, and it's mostly from undigested foods, and this toxic sludge like holds on to the walls of your arteries and linings in your body. And because it's like this sludge, you need something to break it down, to cleanse, to purify. And that is where bitter comes in, Pitta, dandelion greens, endive, not arugula, radicchio, turmeric has a bitter quality. Bitter melon is bitter. And like I said, this is going to support Kapha dosha. And then lastly is Kashiya, which is astringent. And Kashiya helps to constrict blood vessels, it absorbs water, it tightens your tissues, it dries fats in the body, it cleanses the mouth. And this is going to support Kapha dosha and Pitta as well. And in excess will really throw off your Vata dosha. And some examples of some astringent foods, mostly raw foods. So like raw, your salads and an apple. Apples, pomegranates are quite astringent. Persimmons are astringent. Beans are astringent. And like I said, like a salad, greens, raw juices, cold pressed juices. These all have an astringent quality. Oh, and that is made of air and earth. So we have Madura, sweet, we have Lavana, salty, Amla, sour, and then Katu, which is pungent. We have Pitta, which is bitter, and we have Kashiya, which is astringent. And how do you know, like, you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? How do I include these? How am I supposed to be intentional and mindful, like she said in the beginning of this video? Try just incorporating a little of each on your plate. So when you look at your plate, do you have a little bit of a pungent? A little black pepper with a little bit of Madura, some basmati rice, with a little bit of bitter, an arugula salad or a dandelion green salad or a turmeric, maybe in your vinaigrette, okay? A little bit of sour element, a little bit of yogurt perhaps, which can help aid in digestion, with a little bit of your, I said pungent, your astringent. So just, look at your plate. Is it all just like one thing, or is there a nice combination of different spices, different vegetables, different fruits on your plate that are going to help you get all of these the Shadrasa in your diet every day? So it just takes a little bit of practice. You can just easily, even if you're really interested, like after you listen to this video and you're like, oh my God, I want to get started, just go online and look up Ayurvedic, Shadrasa, and look for a list of foods. So like Katu, pungent foods, and get a list and look at the ones that you like and write those down. Look up astringent foods. Oh, I like these. Write those down, and then create a menu from all 6 of them that you can start incorporating in your weekly meal prep. Okay, that's the way that I would suggest moving forward for a beginner. And yeah, it's easy breezy. Okay, so now before we sign off, I want to get into some contraindications of what happens when you kind of go to the extreme with these tastes. Ayurveda, like I said earlier in this video, a causative factor for disease is eating the same thing all the time, or doing the same thing all the time. But right now we're talking about eating, we're talking about food. So like just constant, the same thing, that's all you're eating. You're not eating anything else. You don't have a diverse diet. Okay, so there are contraindications. Let's get into those. Okay, so Madura, sweet in excess. Think obesity, think constipation, think gas, think bloating. Okay, so that's Madura in excess. So Amla, think of hyperacidity, ulcers, blood disorders. UTIs and bladder infections are also associated, according to Ayurveda, with a lot of sour foods in your diet. Also with Amla, excess Amla, skin disorders that will not heal, acne, psoriasis, eczema, and just inflammation. So if that is, you're noticing this and you have been kind of changing your diet and doing some things on your own, but you do a lot of sour. Alcohol is also considered sour. So if you're doing a lot of drinking and your skin's not healing, that could be a reason why. Okay, salty, lavana in excess, edema, swelling, fluid retention, right? Also skin that will not heal, burning sensation in the body, and also blood disorders with salty. And Ayurveda also attributes hair loss with excess salty food in your diet. Katu, pungent, we're going to see inhibition of reproductive tissue. That is what Ayurveda says. So are you having trouble conceiving? Again, there's a disclaimer. I'm not telling you what's wrong with you, but these are things that you can start to put together. Do you eat a lot of spicy foods? Is this constantly in your diet? Well, perhaps do a little research on your own of Ayurveda, infertility, spicy foods, see what comes up. You know, work with your integrative practitioner to see if this is something. Kidney disorders are associated with high spicy diet, as well as excessive thirst, dryness, irritability, anger. Okay, these are all associated with katu, excess katu. Excess spicy also is known to diminish strength and mental focus. So I forgot to mention that. And then tikta, bitter, like I mentioned earlier, it's the least nourishing, the most purifying and detoxifying. So if you're doing a lot of bitter food, well, in excess, what can potentially happen is a depletion of nourishment in all the tissues of your body, your plasma, your blood, your muscle, your fat, your bone, your reproductive tissue. We want to make sure that those are nourished, not malnourished. You don't need to go crazy. You don't need to be an Ayurvedic nutritionist or an educated, certified in Ayurveda like I am. Just look at your food. Be intentional. Listen to your gut. Listen to your body when you eat something. Does something not agree with you? Try it again and see if it's that food. If you still have issues with it, well then don't eat it. Don't eat that food. Listen to your body, okay? Listen to your mind too. Your heart will also tell you. It all tells you. We do talk to ourselves in many different ways, okay? Last but not least is Kashya astringent. So astringent foods are going to cause Vata disturbances and obstruction of movement. It will impede your speech. It will block channels in your body and circulation. Also, according to Ayurveda, astringent is associated with heart pain. Okay, so those are our Shadrasa, the magic behind them, what to know, the benefits, some of them. You got a good overview and this basic understanding, some of the contraindications, the doshas that they support. Remember, we are all 3 doshas. That's why we want to eat all of these, but let's just start because you don't know your inherent constitution yet, your prakriti. You don't need to yet. Just start where you are with the basics and go from there. You can download my Basics of Ayurveda cheat sheet below. Go ahead and watch that video. Please sign up for my Eat Your Way to Gorgeous bootcamp, where we will have an entire lesson on Ayurvedic nutrition. We'll talk about food combining. I'll be sharing amazing recipes and spice blends and all of that we can do at home. Easy breezy. So signing off, I am Alicia Reverby. I am an integrative esthetician. I am a certified Ayurvedic wellness educator and life coach. And I use food and lifestyle medicine and mindset techniques to help you level up in your experience and live the happy and healthy life that you want and that you deserve. So if you'd like to book a consultation with me, those links are below as well. And thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.